And good afternoon, everybody. I am so excited you are here today. This is one of our special guest speaker presentations, and we're getting a really good rhythm on these things. Trying to have one about every other week, which is starting to feel like a lot, but if we want to grow and we want to learn, this is the best way to do it. It's to actually have really amazing women come in here and teach us. Today, our special guest is Camille Stevenson Thomas. Welcome so much.
Thank you so much.
It's like, welcome so much. What is that? You can tell it's been some weeks for all of us. I think the topic today that Camille is going to teach on is perfect for us right now. Resilience is always a good topic, but as we come out of 2020, as we hopefully come out of this pandemic, with all the new things that we've learned, I'm really excited to hear what you have to teach for us. But just for our audience, so that they know, I'm going to say a few things. I'm going to let you correct me because I'm probably going to get it wrong. Camille is a master resilience trainer and certified in diversity, equity, inclusion. And like I mentioned in this morning's brief live, I actually I used some wording that Camille helped me with because I definitely want this group to reflect that. And I want this group to grow. And in order to do that, we need to have some things that really guide us well. So Camille is kind of the author of some of that is in the new description of the about of this group. But tell me a little bit about what it means to be a master resiliency trainer.
So a master resiliency trainer, basically we go through an RTA course, which is a resilience training assistance course, where we learn like the foundations of what we teach typically, the 4 pillars, which are spiritual, spiritual, mental, physical, and social. So those are the 4 that we get certified on. Emotional comes later. With that, we're able to teach as an RTA 30-minute classes for a certain number of people. Well, when you go through an RTA course, you go through a 2-week course. So it's 8 hours a day for 2 weeks. We go I went to Ohio. Yes, it is pretty intense. And we have some pretty intense instructors as well, because resilience can go really good or it can go really bad. And what you don't want is people to walk away with nothing. Or why am I here? Why did I even come? Or I know this. So you really want to be able to connect your stories. You want to be able to connect with the people that are in the audience. A lot of people don't want to sit through another briefing. So you have to learn how to keep them engaged. And that can be difficult sometimes. But after years of doing it, I think that I'm pretty good at it, But
you're also good at everything you set your mind to, sister. I am convinced of that.
Thank you so much. People are my passion. So, I try to connect with them as much as possible. And as a master resilience trainer, and then for me, I'm also a lead master resilience trainer, I'm able to certify all of the RTAs, and I'm also able to recertify master resilience trainers. Oh, wow. So that's what I do.
Cool. Okay. I was a lifeguard and a safety instructor. I could teach lifeguards. I get it. So I think that's wonderful. And I think that what we're going to learn today is probably going to be extremely helpful. We discussed really quickly earlier that and you and I talked about, we hope that people walk away from this with some new information, with some hope, and with some ideas on how they can incorporate all of this into their lives. So you have some slides. I'm going to let you go ahead and pull those up before we pop them into share screen. And so I'm excited about this, y'all. It's going to be really, really good. And so here we go. I'm going to share the slides for you. And Camille, I'm going to let you take it away.
Hey, so it's me. And I'll introduce myself yet again. But resilience, what is resilience and why is it important? A lot of people are like, resilience is just another buzzword. But I promise you, it's not a buzzword. It's a way of life. And once you learn the skills that we try to teach you, you start applying them and you don't even know it, And then the other thing about resilience is you really don't know how resilient you are until you go through some things and you come out on the other side, maybe not unscathed, but you're able to bounce back and grow through it faster than you normally would have. So what is it? It is the ability to successfully adapt and recover after experiencing stressful, challenging, or tragic events, right? So how you get through that is basically what resilience is. Some people say it's your ability to bounce back. Some people say, well, it's just how you recover after. It's all of those things. It also encompasses being able to satisfactorily perform, succeed, and then grow in the face of adversity, change, or stress. So that is very, very important. You don't want to be stuck in a certain situation. When an event happens, there are some people that don't have the skills to be able to grow through. So we want to help you to be able to grow through and still be successful, still be able to perform even while you're going through. It's having a sense of personal mission, of purpose, and of well-being. And then again, the 4 pillars that I just talked about, being mentally, spiritually, and socially, I think I missed one, physically ready. So that is what resilience is. Here's a slide on why it's important. Because being resilient helps you win at life. Okay. It increases communication and teamwork. As you can see, there's all of these words on here. But decision making and idea generation helps you be more creative. It increases your ability to lead people, perform under pressure. We talked about that, still being able to perform, well when you're going through. It increases your ability to change, adapt, recover after stressors. And then it also increases your immune functioning. Yes, it does.
Wait. Tell me about this. Sorry, I'm just going to interrupt. I know. So for those of you out there, she can't actually see me. So the only way I can interrupt is to just jump in there. So how does it increase your immune system?
So it's shown that when you have decreased stress, right? So when you're going through some things, tragic events, adversity, and everything like that, your body goes haywire, as we know. So your cardiovascular system oftentimes goes into overdrive. Your immune system is weakened because of stress. You get sick easily. You're not able to get the sleep that you need because you don't have the skills to get through those things. So you're not sleeping well, you're not eating well, you're not functioning well, your body is in a weakened state. So with resilience, being able to grow through all of these things, it literally improves your immune functioning. So it lowers all of those things, the cortisol in your body, the whole nine. And a lot of people don't realize when you're stressed, your body releases a plaque that goes into your system, and it causes a lot of issues. People with like heart issues, heart attacks and stuff like that. They have a lot of buildup in their body, and a lot of times when you peel back the onion, it's due to stress. They say a lot of 70% of chronic illness is due to stress. Wow. So yeah.
All right, I'm going to mute myself back and let you talk again.
Sure. It increases your sleep. You're able to, when you have the skills to get through things, you're able to sleep better. You don't have those things going on in your mind. They may still be there, but you understand how to get through them. So you can table them for a while, and it improves your sleep. And then your connectedness, because people want to be around positive people all the time. They don't like the negative Nancys or anything like that. So it increases your connectedness, and you're able to empathize and sympathize with people better. I've been through some things. Hey, let me talk to you. Let me help you through it, So here's some other reasons why it's important. Yes, go ahead.
Sorry, we totally, in this group, this, Camille, you're very active in this group, and we completely resonate with the whole, we don't want to be the negative Nancy. It's not that you don't see the hard thing. I love how you framed that. You said, let me help you through this. Let's talk about it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a positive spin on it.
It is, because, one thing, when people are going through, some people, they want somebody to, sympathize with them, or they want them to understand how they're feeling. But, if you're down and I'm down, we both in a dump, you can't be of any help to me, and then it just really makes things worse. And then you have a group, of positive people. You have that one person that everything is negative. You don't want to be that person either. That creates a barrier between relationships, between co-workers, everything you do. Nobody wants to be that negative Nancy. So let me help you through whatever it is you're going through.
Cool.
Yeah. So here's some other reasons why resilience is important. It decreases the symptoms of stress. It decreases burnout, because that there's a way that you have to plan. There's so many different skills that we teach. Let me just say that first. So the one that I'm going to teach you today is just one of many. But overall, resilience helps out with burnout. It helps to reduce burnout. Um, Helps your blood pressure. Again, like I said, when you are in a high stress state, your blood pressure goes up. So when you understand how to work through those things, it comes back down. Um, Again, it gives you optimism, which is the opposite of what you're reading there, pessimism and cynicism. I have hope that I can get through another day. My glass is half empty, not half full, or however you want to say it. So it gives you a better outlook on life, decreases your feelings of worthlessness and hopelessness, and then your disengagement, because that connectedness that we talked about before, it increases. People want to be around positive people. People want to be around people that can help them through situations. So you're not so disengaged anymore. You're more connected. All right. So can resilience be taught? I said, of course, that's why I'm here, right? No matter how much you know, you can always learn to be more resilient.
Yay.
Yes. And even for me, because, you have to practice what you preach, right? So as I'm teaching this, don't think that I'm not tested. Right. I'm constantly tested on the skills that I'm teaching. And so I'm able to teach it. People say, I guess so well, because I'm very transparent and honest about my situations, about my when I am tested and how I got through. Sometimes, even though we have the answers to the test, we don't always get them right. We might be rushing through and miss something. And so we have to go back and reevaluate, reflect on how we could have done that better. So no matter how much you can always learn to be more resilient. So today's skill is called Reframe.
I love that.
Yeah, there's a couple of ladies. So it helps you to re-examine your thoughts for a better outcome. And that's what we all want, especially when we're going through stressful times. Take the moment, stop and say, hey, what's going on? So first, you must be aware that your thoughts about an event drives your reactions, not the event itself. And we'll talk more about that. Then you must understand the difference between your thoughts and then your emotional and physical reactions. And a lot of people don't understand the difference. They don't understand that they have the power to choose. So we'll talk about a little bit about that. But I want to make sure that we're very clear about what those things are. All right. So when do you use this skill? To understand why you reacted in a certain way, especially when it was a harmful reaction, or maybe a little harsh, or maybe it was less than what you would have, expected of yourself, because we all do that sometimes. We get out of pocket, as I call it. And so you go back and you're like, oh, why did I respond like that? Why did I should have kept that in my mind, kept my mouth shut, but it escaped. So here I am, especially when it wasn't helpful. And then to slow down and control your emotions and your reactions, and then your behaviors as well. So how does it help you? It improves your performance. We'll talk about how that is in a minute. It helps you act based on your values as well. And then it strengthens relationships. Again, resilient people, I don't know, they're kind of like a magnet to other people, but you want to make sure that you act based on your values. And a lot of people don't slow down to understand what they actually value. So when they have these reactions, they're like, oh, man, and they don't stop themselves, from doing it again. So here's the note that I want to make sure everybody understands. If your reactions are getting in the way of your goals, your values, or your relationships, you might want to reframe. But I'm going to teach you how to do that.
Oh, good.
So here is the myth, right? The myth is that an event drives a reaction. So I'm just going to give you a really quick one. We'll have an activity later, but say a car cuts you off. People's like, car comes and cuts them off. What do? Start cussing, honking horns, flipping fingers, doing all kinds of things, banging on the steering wheel. And they go, well, if that didn't happen, then I wouldn't have reacted this way. Well, we have these two reactions here. Oftentimes it's emotional, and we'll talk about what those are. And then sometimes it's physical. Your reaction is physical, or it creates a behavior shift, and we don't want to do that. So that is false. All right. It's not the event itself that causes a reaction. You control your reactions. The reality is what you think about an event drives your reactions, not the event itself. So I'm going to take a little bit of time right here to explain emotional versus physical reactions, okay? Because a lot of people get these kind of intertwined.
Okay.
So when an event happens, we talked about that car cutting you off, right? So that car cuts off. What are you thinking in that moment? Or what are your emotional reactions? You're frustrated. You're angry. You're disappointed. You know, you feel like this person just didn't care about you. Not necessarily with you, but I'm sorry, what else?
I might be scared.
Might be scared. And that's what a lot of people, you know, that fear drives those other things, right?
Yeah.
So you might be scared in that moment. So how you feel is the emotional reaction. Now, what you do with that is your physical, right? So a lot of times, like I said, the physical is the banging of the steering wheel, or yelling out the window, or pointing, driving up to them, trying to get so they can, you know, see that you're pissed off and you're all this kind of stuff. That's
Shaking
your
my
emotion.
fist at you.
Huh?
Shaking my fist at you.
Shaking your fist, you know, did you not see me? You know, I know you saw me. You just don't care about anything. And you're just going off, and people are looking at you on the other side because they don't know what happened. And they're like, this woman is crazy. You know, she has just lost her mind. But then there's kind of one in between, and that's the physiological reactions, right? And that is your heart rate pulsing. Things like that, heart racing, your ears are getting hot, you start sweating, you might start crying, you know, so there's that kind of in between as well, but they work together. But it is because of the thoughts that you have about the event, not the event itself. So events are neither positive nor negative. It's our thoughts about them that are, right? So whatever we assign to that event, that changes how we view it. So here's my brain. All right. That's just my brain made up of a bunch of stuff. All of our thoughts are comprised of our core values, you know, your family values, what your family brought you up to think about, or, you know, what is acceptable and unacceptable behavior or speech or whatever, the state of mental health that you're in. If you've been traumatized before, all of those experiences come back, right? They come back, and when something else looks, smells, feels like that event, all of those emotions that you have come dredging back up. Your religious beliefs, you know, how you interact with people, really it's not the event. It's not necessarily the person sometimes, but some of the beliefs that you hold about maybe their behavior or what they're saying or whatever will often come to mind. And that will drive your emotional or your physical reaction. Could be your habits, your personal beliefs. Again, what we were taught, our environment, all those things that go around, you know, our level of education. Because a lot of times the more education you have, sometimes the less tolerance you have for people who aren't as educated as you are. And so your thoughts could be, you know, well, why don't they know this? Well, they should just know this.
Or don't you know? Don't you know?
Exactly.
When somebody starts a sentence with "don't you know," I'm like, oh, this is not going to go well.
Exactly. But then also your traumas, you know, you see through the lens of those traumas. And so your physical and emotional reactions are based on that. You know, your brain is like a snapshot. Your subconscious holds all of those stories, holds all of those experiences. And then when something happens, whoop, they come rushing back. And then we make decisions and we act a certain way, and we, you know, do certain things based on that, not the event. So I'm going to go back to the car. Right. So we talked about some of the things that we, you know, the car cut us off and the things that we did and said. But what are our thoughts about that? Sometimes that person is a jerk. You know, who would do that? You cut me off. You didn't care about how I felt, because we've seen other people that have been racing down the road and, you know, popping in and out and playing chicken and things like that. And now you're playing chicken with my life. You know, that's just rude. That's inconsiderate. I have babies in my back seat, you know, and you don't care. If you hurt my babies, I'm going to hurt you, you know, because we've seen that as well, where people have been reckless and caused entire families to be killed, you know. Those thoughts about it are, you know, if you're in that much of a rush, you should have left early. You know, you shouldn't be behind where you have to do all of this. So all of those thoughts about the event, not necessarily that person, come to mind. But on the flip side, when we learn to reframe, it could be that that person may not have seen you. How many times have we crossed into a lane? Somebody was in our blind spot. By the grace of God, we didn't get hit or hit anybody else or cause any, harm. And we're like, oh, I'm so sorry. And you see that person react in the way that you would react towards someone else. And you're like, I didn't see you. I said, I'm sorry.
Oh, this was totally me yesterday. I nearly got hit on both sides of my car pulling out of a spot at CVS. I mean, I just didn't. I honestly thought I looked both ways. And then when I went to look again, there was somebody on my right and somebody on my left, and both of them had their hands in the air. And I'm like, I'm so
yes, sorry. Yes. And so, we want people to give us grace, but we don't give people grace, right? And so in that moment, you're like, I really didn't see you. Like, I promise you, I checked my mirrors, but here I am, And those people are like, this dummy, that's what we say. I'm just being on, didn't even look, didn't see us, almost got hit on both sides. And now they're furious about it. But when we reframe the event, in these situations, I have learned when people do that, and I'm like, it's okay. I understand. I don't know what the premise behind it was. You know what I mean? Right. They could have just gotten a call that said maybe one of their family members were in a life or death situation and they're rushing to the hospital. And now I didn't slow down because I'm mad and I'm holding up their progress. This might be the only chance that they have to tell their loved one goodbye. So when you reframe your thoughts about it, understanding it's not the event itself, which is neither positive nor negative, but it's our thoughts about it that are based on all of our personal beliefs, our experiences, our environment, our values, our beliefs, everything that we've gone through. Then we can take a moment and say, hey, you know what? Let me stop for a second. That's what I call the power of the pause. All right. So there is about, scientifically, there's about a quarter of a second pause between when something happens and you react to it. Your brain catches up to it, say that it happened. That pause, we say the power of the pause, is a split second, but you can extend it if you catch it. You can extend it if you catch it.
I like that.
So
that's not very long.
It's not very long, but once you learn the skill and you find yourself starting to react, because what will often happen is, here's this event, right? You feel your heart start to race. You feel those ears get hot, right? And you want to go and you can go up. Yes, I started, but let me stop. Is this really as bad as I thought it was? Am I just overreacting? Could it be that person was going to rush to get their kid or, whatever the case may be? The single mother who might be getting their kid late for the last time, who won't be able to leave them at daycare anymore, could possibly lose her job because she doesn't have childcare. Is it really that important for me to act that ugly? Is that aligned with my values? What I believe, if I'm a Christian or, most religions or whatever, it's about treating people, we say, the way you want to be treated, golden rule or the platinum rule. That they want to be treated, Right. And if something, and people always say, well, you don't really react like the way, and I'm like, no, it's not that I don't feel it, I don't see it, but what good is that going to do me? Right. And the only person that I'm hurting is myself, because now I'm all stressed out. That person has gone on about their business, doing whatever they're doing, right? I'm still carrying the anger. I'm still carrying the frustration. I'm irritable. Everybody, that comes to my thing, I'm like, you know what just happened? This person just cut me off. And then people are like, whoa, again, you don't want to be that negative Nancy, right? Or you can say, you know what? I almost got hit on two sides of my car, but by the grace, I made it. Nothing happened. Nobody got hurt, and that's that thing that we say, okay, sometimes we got to, bless our going out and our coming in, I was able to escape that. It could have been so much worse, but here I stand, I'm happy, healthy, and I'm whole. But it's really that shift, that power of the pause that you have to say, maybe I'm reacting based on my old experiences, not necessarily this thing. Did I overreact? And if I continue to go ahead and have these emotional and physical reactions, how is it going to help or hurt me? If it's going to hurt me, maybe I need to reframe, because again, that person has gone on with their life. They don't even know you from Sam. They wouldn't be able to recognize you if they ever saw you again. But you're holding on to this for years and years and years. And it is literally damaging your body. Literally.
Wow.
Holding on to that stress. So the power of the pause. Even when it starts, you can stop it. You can reevaluate how I'm really feeling. Where is this coming from? Is it this particular event, or do I have other things going on? And then you choose how you want to respond emotionally and physically, how you want to act there forward, going forward, or not.
Good
It's up
stuff.
to you.
Yeah.
So here's another example, and this is just more of a, one of those kind of trigger things. People often lose their friends and family. So based on those things, we talked about the activating event. We talked about, your responses. We talked about your thoughts. I'll say your thoughts, activating event, your thoughts about that situation, your emotional reactions, and then your physical reactions. So as we go through this, I just want you to kind of think about some things, and then I'll bring some things. Maybe they're on spot on, maybe they're not, or in that realm, but we can just kind of have a conversation. If you want to put something in the chat as I'm going along, please do so. All right. We love the interaction engagement. So here's an example, right? Your best friend of 30 years was recently engaged, and the wedding is in 6 months. You receive a save the date invitation to the wedding. As you're talking with a group of mutual friends, you find out that your best friend asked a girl she's only known for 2 years to be the maid of honor.
Ouch.
Ouch, right?
Ouch.
Ouch. I'm the best friend, right? So here's the activity. I named it Save the Date. Someone else is the best mate. Okay, so what was...
All right, let's break it down.
Yes, we're going to break it down. So what was the activating event? What would you say?
Well, for me, it would be if my best friend did that, it would be, the event would be finding out that I was not asked to be the maid of honor. Okay,
I'm going to put these 4 up here real quick. I wasn't asked to be the maid of honor. Bingo.
Yay.
Bingo, right? I thought I was the best friend. I thought I was the one, 30 years. You've known this girl for 2 years, and now she's the maid of honor? Like, why did I waste the last 28? I could have came on the last 2, and then maybe I would have been it. I don't know.
Yeah.
So what are some of your thoughts about that situation? What are some of the things that would be going through your head once you found that out?
I would probably think a couple of things, like, wait, I thought I was the best friend. I would think maybe my friendship isn't the same as I thought it was, or that she's made a mistake, or that my thoughts. And I want to go straight to the emotions. You know that, right?
Yeah, that's what a lot of people do. But it's our thoughts that drive those things. So we have to make sure we're very clear about our thoughts.
Right.
So how could she? I'm her best friend. I think you hit on that. Who does that?
Who does that? Evidently my best friend.
Right. And then again, I'll never talk to her again, because 30 years. And then you diss me in front of everybody. Everybody's coming to the wedding, and they're going to think that I should have been there because they know how close we were. And then here's this stranger, So I'm not even going to the wedding. These are just some thoughts. These are just, and this, they say weddings and funerals bring out the best and worst in people.
And we've all thought them. I mean, we've all thought them, right?
Yes. All. And then people try to, brides often try to appease the other person. So they'll have a matron of honor, a maid of honor, a this of honor, trying to give everybody whatever title they decide, that they feel they deserve or whatever. But these are our thoughts about it. Never have asked her why you did that. Right. But what are some of our emotional reactions to this? What would you be feeling in the moment?
Hurt, disappointment, anger, maybe it's some disillusionment, or, just it's not what I thought it was, those kinds of things.
So anger, frustration,
Oh,
betrayal,
betrayal. Yeah.
disappointed, undervalued. Like,
Oh.
I really thought that my friendship was more than this, and I would be hurt. So physical reactions. What do you think you would have, how you would react physically once you got that save the date?
Rip it up and throw it in the trash, right? I mean, it's like, if we're being honest, it's like, I don't want to go anyway, right? And so I don't, it's hard to say. I just can't imagine RSVPing no, but I guess you could do that. Those kinds of things.
First of all, your ears will get hot. Like,
my ears never get hot. They
Yours
never
don't get hot?
No, they really do. That was a joke.
Oh, I was about to say mine be flaring up, and I hope
mine turned bright red.
Yes, mine too. My ears and nose.
I know. If people tune in right here, they're gonna see it with both of our hands on our ears.
Yeah, I always say, they always, they call me Rudolph. They're like,
oh
your
my
nose
gosh,
gets red. My nose gets beat red, and my ears do too. And that's what my old chief goes. You guys, this is just a joke, but my old chief used to go, I didn't know black people got red. And I said, well,
because what happens physiologically, our adrenaline goes. My hands shake.
Okay.
My hands
heart starts pounding.
My heart pounds.
Start trembling.
There we go. I was thinking that what we would do rather than what the physiologically. Oh yes, I'm a door slammer.
Slamming doors.
I'm a door slammer.
Yep. So you rip it up, throw it on the ground. Like I'm not even gonna go. You might even RSVP, yes, and then not show up. People do it, right?
Yes. Yeah.
People get their feelings hurt. So this is kind of how you would break down when you have to stop and reframe. Then you can ask her, hey, another way, once you've gone through all the process, you go, okay, you know what? This is not helping our situation. This is not helping our friendship. This is not helping anything. You know what? All my thoughts about what a bridesmaid or maid of honor should be and why I should be in that position may be wrong. Let me ask her why she chose somebody over me. Sometimes it's a conversation. She could tell you that this particular person who has become close to her has a terminal illness. And she's not getting married. This will be the only wedding that she'll ever be able to attend. Wow. How would you feel?
Like a heel.
Quite terrible, right? Yes. Quite terrible. But stuff like this happens all the time.
Yeah.
All the time. And whatever it is, even when we're dealing with people, our neighbors, music being loud, or maybe, they stepped on your grass or something. We're just like, who does that? Steps on somebody else. I just manicured this. They could have said, well, I kind of tripped over into your lawn. I was trying to catch my balance or something.
It burn stuff in the back of their yard, which basically is the back of my yard every chance they get. Yeah.
Right. But it's still their yard, right? They're entitled to it.
Right. I have to talk myself off that ledge every single time.
Yes, that's the price you pay for having neighbors. It's like one of those, you got to go move out in the country and get you 50 acres so nobody is around you. You don't have to worry about nobody burning in your backyard. But we make these assumptions, and we never go back and ask the person why. Or sometimes we don't even have conversation that says, hey, I know that you're burning it. I know it's your yard, but it really disturbs me, my respiratory system, it makes my eyes do whatever. Would you mind taking that out to the middle of nowhere and burning? As a matter of fact, load it on my truck. I'll take it out there for you. You know what I mean? If you
I should buy a truck. I should buy a truck, and that way
or whatever you have access to, or what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But anything, you could do anything. Well, why is the purpose? Why do you feel that it's so necessary to do it here? It really is, disruptive to me and to my family or whatever. Is there a way, a potential that you can do it somewhere else? Now, here's the thing. If the answer is no, it doesn't help you to continue to be upset about it, because they're within their right to do so, right?
Yeah.
And again, it keeps you in a state of increased stress that's working negatively on your body. So you have to make the decision. Is this fight worth it? Or do I just need to let this go? You know what I mean? Or even if I
Sure.
feel it in the moment, I'm upset and I'm like, you know what? I done said something about it 50 times. Can't do nothing about it. Let me go about my business. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And leave it
Yep.
where it's at. It's hard, but I promise
Mhm.
you, the more you do it, the better you get at it. And you'll start to reevaluate several decisions or reactions that you have. And I do it. People go, so you're not even going to react? And I'm like, no, because in the big scheme of things, it doesn't really matter.
Right.
They're entitled to feel how they feel or say what they want to say or do what they want to do. It's my choice. I have control over how I react.
Mm.
And I teach that to my daughter all the time. So I just can't feel nothing. No, baby. I'm not telling you that. Resilience doesn't mean you're immune to life. Okay.
Right.
It does not mean that you're like some superhero that nothing happens to you. You don't feel it. That's not what it is. But it does mean that you can grow through it. You don't stay there as long. You put the skills in place, you start to utilize them, and you really evaluate what's important and what's back and what's pushing you forward. Is this in line with my values, with my beliefs? Is this in line with my character or what I want people to think about me or believe about me or know about me? If I'm saying that I'm this type of person, are my actions reflecting that?
Right. Well, and what do I want to think about myself?
What do you want to think about yourself? Exactly. Are they in line with my values and my beliefs? And if not, you might need to go back and reframe. And I used to teach this, it was called ABC. And another girl goes, man, I wish I'd have known this because it would have kept me from another A. And I said, what's that? She said, from having to apologize. And I said, bingo. When you take control of your thoughts, you don't act out of character. People can't get you out of pocket as much, and you don't have to apologize or lose friendships over it. And the choice is yours.
Right.
So, with this being said, was there anything, and I know that you're on here particularly, I can't see anybody else or any of the comments, but did you find it challenging to identify your thoughts versus your emotional and physical reactions?
No, you didn't hear me stumble at all. And here's the thing, Camille, I think it's really important to point out. I'm a coach, right? You and I are both coaches. You and I both teach on this stuff. Literally, my podcast last week was on the thought model. It's on the whole, what our thoughts are and how they're not our emotions. And I still struggle, right?
Yes.
So I think it's really important to point out to people that even those of us who kind of teach this and do this stuff on the regular, we still struggle, right? It's something that we have to learn. It's something that we have to practice. It's muscles that we have to work with. And, so it's muscles that we have to work with, and it's things that we have to be able to learn what to do. So what I was going to ask you there is you said something about some ABCs. Are you going to share those with us?
So it's just basically the activating event. We call it like activating event, your brain, which is that whole thought there, and then the consequences, your physical and emotional reactions. So that's what we call ABCs. And then again, like I said, the girl said, yeah, if I understood how to do this before, then it would keep me from having to apologize so much.
Right.
And I taught a class, and months later, I was in Lowe's, and she stopped me in Lowe's.
Wow.
Stopped me in Lowe's and says, hey, I appreciate that. I never thought about that because we don't take a lot of time thinking about thinking, and that's kind of my thing. But like you said, as coaches, as trainers, it is a muscle that we have to exercise regularly, and then if you don't exercise it, you kind of lose some of that. Coaches need coaches, mentors need mentors, professionals need professionals that are above them to help them, to guide them whenever they get to those stuck points, and we all have them because not every situation is the same. We go through tragedies and, different things differently. There are people who, where you have one thing that's seemingly small that has really just, put a monkey wrench in their progress. And they need somebody just to help them talk through it sometimes. And the thing is, we all have answers to our own problems, right?
Yeah.
We just sometimes need somebody to help us through that, to get it out. And then you're like, oh man, I knew that.
And they're right there, right? I mean,
yes.
But a couple things I wanted to pull out. And is before I completely turn off the slides, is this your last slide or do you have more?
No, there's a couple more slides. So let me go through them very quickly.
Well,
So
that's okay. I'm gonna let you go through them, and then I will kind of pull some things out that I really was like, oh, this was really good, and this I'm gonna let you finish.
Okay, so these are just the basic steps to reframe your thoughts, of reframing your thoughts, and it's describing the event. Sometimes we have to reflect. Take an event. You can do it today, you can do it tomorrow, whenever, but take a specific event. You have to be specific, be brief about it, and as objective as possible. So you don't want to put all your feelings and emotions, just tell what the event is. Take note of your thoughts, your reactions to the event, both the physical and the emotional that we talked about. And hopefully you guys understand the difference between the three, thoughts versus physical and emotional reactions and behaviors. Ask yourself why you think that way, why you reacted the way that you did. Oftentimes, again, we said that the event is neither positive nor negative. Events are just neutral. It's what you assign to it that gives it meaning. So why did I think that way? Why did I react that way? Then you have to reflect on that. Did my reactions or my behaviors help? Did they hurt? Did they get us where we needed to be? Whether we're at home as a family or at work or in, whatever we're doing. Did it affect my performance negatively? Did it affect my relationship negatively? And then if so, how can I go back, reframe that event for a more positive outcome in the future? Because what's done is done, right? You might have to go back to that last A, like she said, and go back and apologize and say, you know what? I did some reflection and maybe I didn't handle that the best. Yeah. Not an excuse, but here's what I learned. And I realized that my reaction wasn't based on what happened, but was based on a previous experience. And then all of a sudden, we have the flight or fight or freeze, and sometimes we lash out and we fight first because we've already been harmed in a similar situation, even though it wasn't the same person or the same thing exactly, but it kind of felt the same. It kind of, seemed the same. And so you want to get ahead of it. That's just what your mind does. Brings all that back so that you can protect yourself. Absolutely. And oftentimes we try to protect ourselves when we don't need to be protected, right? So sometimes we got to go back, reframe.
I've never, ever done that. Not even.
None of us have.
Well, I have a 12 and a half year old upstairs, and I cannot tell you how many times I'll say, did you do that? And he's like, Mom, I know. And I'm like, oh, sorry. And I'm just trying to get out ahead of it. And it's literally the words that you use. I just want to get out ahead of this.
It is, right? Just want to make sure, the last time you didn't do it, I had to tell you 3 times. It's like, well, this time I was going to, well, how would I know that? Because the last 3 times, and you're like, how many chances do I get? However, we control how we react and what we think, and making sure we reflect and we say, okay, was this appropriate for this situation? And if it wasn't, we probably need to go back and make it right. And I've learned with my kids too. I've had the more I learn, the more I've had to apologize because children need to hear their parents apologize to them as well. We're setting an example. When you do something and you hurt someone or you accuse them of something that they didn't do, we need to go back with our children and make that right, because they also carry that trauma. They carry and then those experiences will show up in everything else they do and how they interact with the world and other people. So we have to go, you know what, baby? And I've done it. You're right. And I'm sorry. I didn't handle that the best. Let's talk about it. And she's like, all right, so there's no problem, Mom, and that kind of repairs those traumas instead of leaving them open just to continue to bleed on everyone else. So, so here's the last bit of it. The review, why resilience, the skill reframe. We talked about the myth that our events drive our reactions, but we understand now why that's false. The power of the pause, that even when it starts, we have the power to stop it. Extend that pause and say, am I reacting in a way that's going to help me get the intended result or hurt me? And then, just kind of went over the actual steps to reframe your thoughts. So any questions?
Yeah, this is just such good stuff. And so I don't actually have any questions in the chat right now. I'm hearing a little bit of an echo, but I think we'll be all right. So I did want to point out a couple of things, though, that really resonated with me. I noticed that one of the things that you said several times, and this is something that we both feel very strongly about, is that your values really do make a difference in how you think and how you react to your thoughts. So, you and I both are, again, we're coaches, we're John Maxwell team certified coaches. So values are very strong in there. And I have a mini course on discovering your values, but how do you work with people to help them understand what their core values are?
So I also do the same thing. I have a course that I do, and we do like values in action to see, where people's, what they really strongly believe and what they really value. But a lot of times people just don't sit down and think about, what is really important to me, not my belief system, but what is important to me. Sometimes, people think like, oh, it has to be family. It has to be spirituality. It has to be like all of these kind of big categories that we typically think about, which is not true. Right. I have friends that, you saw I just did that book for one of the girls, and she didn't value family. It took an event for her to even realize that family was supposed to be important, because it was more like we have roles and all this and all that. They treat me the certain way. I don't care if I have family or not. And so then she had to go back and think about that. But it could be stuff for like, I value learning. I value, trust and loyalty. I value the beauty in nature. So I'm not going to litter. You know what I mean? I value it so much that if I see it, I pick it up. I value traveling. I value challenging myself, with these adventures and things like that. So values aren't as cut and dry as people think they are. And then when you do things that align with your values. So again, I value beauty in nature. So my actions follow that. When I see trash on the ground, I pick it up, because I value what we're doing to the environment. I value it so much that I recycle, if that's what your thing is, or traveling. I value traveling because there's a whole wide world for me to see. Yes. So every chance I get, I'm going to try to go somewhere and see. I say, God put all this here for me to see. So I'm trying to see as much as I can.
He made it for us to go see, didn't he?
Right. So I'm going to be a good steward of the opportunities that I have. And I'm going to try, because then for me as well, I value people, and I value diversity of people. And it's nothing like going somewhere else and living amongst somewhere else, or taking an extended time that gives you an appreciation of those people and yourself, your own culture, instead of seeing and basing everything that off of TV. They only give you a snippet of what it's actually like to be there. And so you have a different type of tolerance, a different type of, value of people. Right. And, that one thing, language, it can be a barrier, but people are connected to that heart connection, that I'm trying to understand you. I'm trying to, and they will do, I've been all over the world, and, we do pieces of paper and pointing and drawing pictures and everything like that. And then, next thing you know, they're inviting you to a dinner, and you're the only one that speaks English. But you go and you have a great time, and, everybody just kind of accepts you, and we're drawing and pointing and arrows and things like that, but you leave there with a great experience. So I value people. So that's what, one of the things that I do. So.
Well, and I keep saying too, one of my favorite sayings is that values, our core values especially, are the guardrails of our lives, right? We talk about being on a highway or something. You have your guardrails up, and then everything else is like the lines on the road so that you know where to be. Yes. But I wanted to show you a piece that I have, a little sticky note that I keep on my desk. I don't know if is it going to be backwards or forwards.
Oh, it's not. It says neutral facts.
Doesn't it?
Yes.
What do you think that's for? That's my own. So I'm going to ask you for one or two if you've got them, but that's one of the things that I literally put in front of myself to remind myself that things that come into my environment are neutral facts. Yes. You said it, the events are neutral.
They're neutral.
They're all neutral. It's my thoughts that have that change the whole trajectory of where everything goes to make it a not neutral fact. So do you have other tips that people can do to kind of help make sure that they remember? Because to me, that's the first domino, right?
Right. Yeah. So I just kind of with all of this, like you said, neutral facts. And what I've learned too are facts and truths are different. All right.
Yes.
Facts and truths are different. The fact is that this happened.
Right.
The truth about it could be how I responded to it.
Right.
Yes, this happened, but I didn't let that derail me from whatever my truth is. If somebody tells me that I shouldn't be in this position, well, the fact is they told me that and they did try to keep me there. However, the truth of the matter is that I pushed through it and I became that thing that they said that I would never be. This is now my truth.
Yeah.
I didn't allow that fact that they said it to take root in my heart and in my mind. I decided that that was not going to be my truth.
Yeah.
And so I changed that. And that's with everybody. And I always say too, with people, I come in and they label like millennials and stuff like that. I have a millennial and I have a Gen Z, and they lump them in these big, they don't do this, they don't do that, they don't do that. Now, if I decided to say, okay, that was a fact, the fact is technology is present. Okay. Technology rules a lot of things. But the truth is they're still people.
Yeah.
And we can still connect with them and we can still teach them and we can still, and then the other truth is that my children don't act like that.
Hey.
My children don't act like that stereotype that we've or these labels that we put on these masses of people that were born in certain generations.
Right.
My children are tech savvy, but they still like nature. They still like pen and paper. They like books. You'll find them all the time with the books, creating. They like, making things. So my children don't necessarily follow the rules of Gen Z or millennials. Yeah, they are their own people. And so I treat them like they are their own people. Sure. So the truth of the matter is my children, I don't think they're different. I just don't allow them to be labeled, Yeah.
So. I mean, I think that's good for everybody. But I think the other thing that really stood out for me is that overall, this reframing and resilience conversation kind of falls back into I need to be willing to understand, and just taking that extending that 1/4 second reaction time can happen when you say, I want to understand. Yes. Right? Like, help me understand. And then that curiosity feeds that, and just wondering what's going on. And, we used some really simple examples of things like, a car or, the wedding thing that's going to happen to some of us and not others.
Right.
But they happen to us every day. These neutral events, neutral facts happen. Sorry, I get a little confused. They happen every day. They happen all the time. They happen every hour, maybe every 10 minutes. And we need to be willing to practice them and willing to understand. And this is it's been a really good word. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And for sure, I want to make sure that people understand, you said you have a course that you teach. You have a couple of live video podcasts that you do. So what I'd like for you to do is share those things, how they can work with you if they want, and where they can find you, and then just pop them in the comments after we're done here.
Okay, will do. And Andrea, just like you said, I just, these things happen. I simplified the scenarios just so that we can really break them down, to help you to understand how even the simple things can cause long-term, effects on you. But when you start to understand simply how to work them, more complex, you can apply the skills to more complex situations, because again, we think differently, we react differently. I can't pull out everything for every situation, but it will give you the framework, like you said, those rails, your values are those guardrails, to work within, to say, okay, let me stop for a minute, let me pause, let me see if I can really break down, no matter how complex it is. The skills work if you work them.
Right.
I promise you. You know, even in my dad's death, there were some
Mm.
things that happened that were really just, and I had to just say, you know what? And in the big scheme of things, he can't come back. You know, and I had to take that and I had to apply that, and I'm okay with it. Like genuinely okay with it. You know, I could have gotten very upset. I could have continued to allow that thing. Like, I want my father back, but in the big scheme of things, he's not here. I can't. There's not a single thing in the world that I can do to bring him back. So the best thing that I can do is honor his legacy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so that's what I chose to do, and that's what I do. You know, do I miss my dad? Of course, but I'm not stuck in that, you know, feeling that I can't go forward because of
Right.
all the things that happened surrounded it. No, I'm going to make my dad proud even in his death. So that's how I choose to deal with it.
Cool.
So
if they wanted to, where can tell us your podcast again and where they can find you?
Okay, so I have two podcasts that I'm on right now. One is called Sanity Check, and it deals with resilience, and it's everyday situations and how we get through. We take different themes every Saturday. It's on Sanity Check Facebook page every Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 9 a.m. Central Time. And then I have
I can't do that either.
yeah, I'm trying to convert. And then on Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central Time, I have another one, and it's called The Lioness Lair. And basically, it's all things women. You know, we just talk about issues that affect us, how we've gotten through, using our own experiences, the experiences of others, and we just have candid conversation about it. And it's gone very well so far. So we just started this week will be a month now. And this week we'll be talking about work-life balance. So those are the two podcasts. And then I have a website. I need to get this one little thing done, but it is my business. And you saw it on the slides. I put the information, but it's aspiretogrowhigher.com. So,
Okay.
and I'll put that in the link as well. So, or you guys can reach out on Facebook. Just reach out on Facebook. I'm Camille Stevenson Thomas. You'll see it when I put the comments up there. Hit me in my messenger, or, you know, send me an email or something like that. And you can get with me.
She's in here. She's in
I am in the group.
Optimist, and she posts every so often. And so you can find her here. Thank you so much. This has been really, really good. Honestly, I had no idea when we talked about doing resilience. I didn't realize that it was going to piggyback so well on what I've been talking about recently about thoughts in the podcast. And so if you want a double dose, a double dip, listen to the podcast, check out Camille stuff. And if you need somebody to come work with your team or anything like that, she definitely is the lady. So with that, I am going to go ahead and sign off and say, please connect. And thank you guys, and have a fabulous day. Until next time.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.